I've owned this 80 series Landcruiser now for close on a year, I suppose, and I've sorted out 99% of its niggles. I mean, if you go and buy a car that's nearly 30 years old, there's bound to be some problems, no matter what condition it's in, and I've sorted out 99% of them. But there's been one problem that I've never touched because I didn't know how to tackle the problem, and that was the little short gear lever that changes, from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, high and low range, the little one. To get that thing from four-wheel drive high range to neutral and then through to four-wheel drive low, you've got to lift the gear lever up slightly. Now, mine has always been super, super tight. I actually, sometimes I couldn't get it up to get it through neutral into four-wheel drive low range. It's never been a real problem because up until now I've never really needed to use low range. With a bit of effort you could get it in, and this has bothered me for a long time, and I've since found out that 99% of people who own these vehicles suffer from the same problem. I spoke to a couple of guys the other day and they said, yeah, that's just an 80 series thing and they live with it. I said, no, this is it can't be, it's not meant to be like that. So I set out, or I'm going to set out, to fix this thing. I've never seen what it looks like, the mechanism or anything, and I can't find anything on YouTube, and I don't have any manuals on it to show me what it looks like. So basically I'm entering blind. So come with me on this journey, and I'm going to hopefully sort this problem out. I'm not willing to, I'm one of those people that I like everything to work the way it should, the way it was designed to work. It's don't come and tell me that, yes, that's the way it is, we all suffer from it, learn to live with it. No, it wasn't meant to be like that, so I'm going to fix it the way it should be. I'm going to try anyway. What you see here is the entire gear select mechanism between two-wheel high, four-wheel high, and four-wheel low. This does all the selection. It just bolts to the top of the gearbox with these four bolts, and this little linkage here, right here, goes back to the transfer case to do the selection between four-wheel high and four-wheel low, and obviously to disengage four-wheel drive and to engage it. As you can see, this selector gear lever just goes into there. You slide the pin in from the back, put the nut in, and that little groove stops the shaft from swiveling and also from coming out. But that is not my problem. I'll clean that up and just put a little bit of grease on it when I put it back together, but that is definitely not my problem. My problem is the slip in the bush underneath here. As you can see, it's obviously inside this metal housing, and it is spring loaded, which gives it the pull. Now, as you can see, it's not terribly bad, but I can feel, by doing this, I can feel that it's bone dry inside. So my ideal is that I'm just now going to strip it, clean it nicely, and lubricate it, and hopefully that's going to solve my problem. But I was just battling to get it up high enough so that pin clears this ramp. It was in that position. Obviously, it can't go now into four-wheel. There's a two-wheel four-wheel drive. It can't go from two-wheel high into neutral. That's basically the neutral position. It can't get past that step. So, well, it's easy enough when I've got it like this and I can do it like this. But with the gear lever being on one side, when you pull it, you are actually slightly tilting it over, which is causing a little bit of a binding in the bush, and that I think is the problem. So I'm going to strip this now and hopefully sort that problem out. I'm going to stop this video now and then put the tripod one side so that I can have my hands back, or my arms back, and then I'm going to strip this thing and show you what it looks like. Hopefully it's going to work a lot better once I'm finished, but I'm glad to find that there was nothing really wrong with it. As you can see there, I had to snap that back now myself. It's dry, and I think that is the main problem. Okay, I'm going to start by removing this plate so that I can see what's underneath it. I don't think there's anything underneath here, but I just want to make sure. So I'm going to remove these. See, I've already been playing around here from the top before I took it out. I didn't know how it came out. I thought maybe this was holding it down. So I've actually loosened one or two of these already. Let's take a look. before I put these screws back in again, when I assemble it, I will put a thin smear of grease on everything. This has obviously never come out before. Everything is basically bone dry. So there we go. Now, there we go. It comes off there. Okay. There's nothing in here that holds anything together, so that's fine. I am really hoping I don't have to strip this shaft, the main shaft, out to get this one out. So the priority now is to get this circlip off, and then I will know for sure. So let me see if I can do that. Okay, for those purists out there who say you never hit on a screwdriver with a hammer, this screwdriver, my son has a 1980 Mark II Ford Escort that he bought just over a year ago now. And when we bought it, after we'd gone and fetched it and we were cleaning it up, this was found under all the rubbish in the boot. So this is sort of my workshop chisel. As you can see, it's got a hex around the shaft, which you can put a spanner on to turn it. It's actually quite handy, but the tip is slightly bent. So this is basically one of my workshop chisels, and so is this one. So you won't find me hitting with a hammer on a decent tool, or that's not meant for it anyway, especially screwdrivers. But I think we are going to battle here a little bit with this spring. And with my luck, it's going to fly, and I'll never see it again. It's coming off. What I think I'm going to do, put a rag there. And she's off. There we go. Take the spring off. Yeah, my worst suspicions. Oh no, I'm not going to be stripping this. So what I'm going to be doing is trying to get some lube, force some grease in there somehow. I really don't want to take these spring pins out. You see that spring pin there is what holds this main shaft in. If I pull that spring pin out, I'll be able to pull this whole shaft out, and then this will fall out. But I'm really not, for starters, I'm not really equipped. I don't have a pin punch that size. So we're going to have to do a nice lube job here with some nice thick oil, and that will be the best I can do with this, unfortunately. Maybe another time. But I'm going to get some oil, and we're going to do this. I've got some really thick, actually diff oil in a container here. So I'll work that around it a million times. It's better already. Oh yes. I think I'm going to keep doing this. I can see when I push the pin all the way in, the cutout that saddles the main shaft is just visible. So what I'm going to do is actually try and force some grease inside there, and hopefully that will make its way around. I'll try and create a bit of pressure, but this is already 1,000 times better, much better. I think just for good measure, I'm going to put a drop on the main shaft, seeing that I'm not going to be taking it out. See if I can work some oil into that as well. Although I actually enjoy the stiffish connection. or the stiffish, the high friction, prevents it from flopping around, which I like. You don't really feel it once the gear lever is on. You've got enough leverage on the lever. They don't call it a gear lever for nothing. So yeah. That is already looking a lot better. Now it just falls. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to stop this now. You don't need to watch me wiggling this thing around for the next half an hour, because I'm going to keep doing this until I see oil coming out of this side. And I also want, as I said, I want to force some grease into there. So when I bring you back, it'll be all lubed up and ready to put back in. Right, welcome back. And I've now gone from oil to wheel bearing grease, and I've sat in for quite a while now, probably the last 10 minutes, just forcing wheel bearing grease into the, I don't know if you'll be able to see it there, but there's a tiny, you can just see the little scallop out of the main shaft that limits its travel and obviously prevents it from coming out around the main shaft. But I've actually managed to get a fair amount of grease in there, and I've decided not to leave this too greasy on the outsides, because I've just realized that from the top, once that thing is on, this is actually open to all dust and sand and everything else, where water even, where you are driving through. So you don't want this to be gathering too much dust, too much sand, because that's going to turn it into grinding paste. So I haven't done as much as I wanted to originally, or as I intended to, because I don't want oil coming through this way or out here, because that's also going to gather sand and dust to become grinding paste. But I don't know if I'm imagining it, but this seems to be a bit freer as well, which is great. But I'm now going to, or I have already wiped this on the inside so that it's not a magnet for sand and dust. This I'm just going to put back dry again. I'm going to leave a little bit of grease. You'll never get rid of that around the entrance there of the shaft where it goes into the hole, but that's fine. That can stay there. This is actually a maintenance item. It needs to be actually taken off once a year and maybe cleaned, stripped completely, and get rid of the grinding paste, so that you've got a nice clean and lubricated surface for this shaft to run on. I'm lucky. I don't do the wild 4x4 thing. I never submerge my car. I will never do that to my car. Actually can't afford to replace what I could break, and I'm not going on places where I'm going to break suspension parts and that. So I'm more into the overlanding stuff, as you know. I'm long distance travel. I just want my things to work nicely, and on these long travels on the gravel roads, dust is your biggest enemy. So just keep it clean, and that I'm going to keep dry. So I'm going to stick that back on now. Hopefully I can get this back on. There we go. Doesn't really matter. Going to use my workshop chisel again. Turn that around. Doesn't want to move. Now I'm moving the gear lever. It's going, it's going. It is going. Let's just put that there. Try and keep this as vertical as possible. That's it. I think that's in. Let's have a look. Yes. Perfect. Okay, so now I have my gear lever perfectly spring loaded again. It's never going to stick now. Not a chance. That's fine. And just take the rag, lovely clean rags, doesn't matter, as long as it gets rid of the oil. And I'll put the top plate back on, and we are ready to put this back in the car. Beautiful. Now just to figure out how to get this back in. There we go. As I said, I'll put a little bit of grease on the threads of these bolts. There we go, just the finest of smear. One thing I did notice when I took this off, when I removed the linkage, this nut holding the ball joint here was completely loose. So just as well. Starting to think the guys that installed this engine, because originally it was a 1.8Z engine, it's now a 1.8DT. When they installed this engine and gearbox, you know, they didn't pay too much attention to the details. I've already had to replace one missing bell housing bolt that holds the bell housing onto the engine due to it getting lost. That was before I even went on my trip. And I found the other one, the two top ones behind the cylinder head, that are very difficult to get to. They were still loose. Well, one was loose and the other one was missing already by the time I found it. So I've had to replace them. So these guys were not the greatest mechanics when it came to taking care of the details. Although, hopefully it wasn't the same guys that rebuilt the engine, because it's a rebuilt engine. The motor is absolutely beautiful. It runs like an absolute dream. There is literally zero blow by. Oh, look at that. That is nice. I think I've done it, guys. I'm going to put just the tiniest smear of grease on this shaft, but I can't put it in now. Just that, just enough to stop it from rusting. I can only put this back in the car because the boot, the rubber boot, I've got the OEM boot in it. It's one unit, so I haven't removed anything on the main gear lever. So the boot is I've just managed to pull the boot to the one side. So I had to pull this out and then pull the gear lever out so that I could get this out. Once this is in, I can shove the gear lever through the hole in the boot from the underneath and then get this back in. Then I can put the pin back in. But that's about it, guys. I'm not going to bother filming putting it back in the car. It's literally putting it on top of the gearbox from the top, putting these 4 bolts in, putting this pin in, and attaching the linkage, and you are done. So that's it, guys. Sticky gear lever, high-low range. This is what you do. If you don't, for those around the East Rand, Edenvale area, if you not mechanically minded and you want somebody else to do it for you, you're welcome to bring it around. Okay, guys, welcome back. After 20 minutes work, I want to show you the results of something really easy that I can't believe how easy it was, actually. Here we go. The linkage at the bottom is not connected yet. I've just got the gear lever mounting to the gearbox done, and as you can see, all the carpeting and that is back. But now it is now in the position that would have been 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high. That's against the stop. Look how easy it is to pick it up. Literally 2 fingers. There it goes back. Against the stop, 2 fingers. Goes back. Really, really. I cannot believe that there are so many people battling with the same problem, where it is so easy to fix. So what I'm going to do now is go underneath and just connect up the linkage to the transfer case, and then I will come back and do this again. Okay, guys, back again. I've now connected up the linkage, Everything should be back to normal. It should be in two-wheel high now. That should be four-wheel drive, high range four-wheel drive. That should be neutral. And there we go. That is low range four-wheel drive, neutral, all the way back to two-wheel drive. This is so easy now, it just flies. Let me just do that again. Okay. Low range 4, neutral, high range four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. Simple as that, guys. Look at that. Absolutely stoked with it. I'm so glad I did this job.